Recap: Alchemy Emperor of the Divine Dao, Chapter 1041, Chapter Vlari. In the silent depths of the Black Tower, where time seemed to drift like mist and the laws of the outside world were bent beneath its mysterious might, Ling Han chose not to depart. Instead, he remained, immersing himself in the newly obtained sword art, an inheritance left behind by a peerless being whose name alone could shake the ages. Day after day passed. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. Within that isolated realm, Ling Han's figure streaked through the air like a phantom. His sword flashed again and again, carving through emptiness as he chased a truth that lay hidden within the technique itself. "The regulations are broken," he murmured, his voice low and contemplative, echoing faintly within the void. "That is why the speed of this technique can increase without limits. Anyone facing this sword would have no chance to dodge." As those words left his lips, his body surged forward once more, his blade descending with a speed that seemed to defy comprehension, like lightning tearing through the heavens. Yet in the next instant, a sharp, agonizing pain exploded through his left leg. Ling Han's expression changed abruptly. His body halted mid-motion, and he lowered his gaze in disbelief. His left foot had not moved. It remained rooted where he had first stood. His toes were shattered, twisted grotesquely into unnatural angles, bones bent and broken as though his own body had betrayed him. Gasp! Cold realization struck him like a thunderclap. Is this the consequence of breaking the regulations? His face tightened in pain as he immediately acted. Carefully, he reattached his left foot, guiding it back into place with steady precision. Then, circulating the indestructible heaven scroll, golden vitality surged through his body, knitting flesh and bone together as his injury rapidly healed. But the lesson had already carved itself deep into his mind. "I took the wrong path," he muttered inwardly, brows furrowed. "Yes, the speed of my sword increased, but the burden on my body became even greater." His gaze sharpened as he analyzed the situation. "This is partly because I'm inside the Black Tower. Here, my power is magnified to an extreme degree. If I were outside, I wouldn't have been able to twist my bones to such a terrifying extent." A decisive thought arose. "I can't continue practicing here. I must go outside first." With that, Ling Han stepped out of the Black Tower, and the moment he did, his senses expanded. The crushing pressure that once dominated the depths of the Star Sea was gone. Or rather, not entirely gone, but diminished to insignificance. The ocean still possessed its natural pressure, especially in its deeper regions, yet to Ling Han now, it felt no heavier than drifting fog. His godly bones stood firm and unmoved, unaffected by the surrounding force. A spark of realization lit up his eyes. "If that's the case, can I use the flight god tool now?" Without hesitation, he retrieved the cloud-piercing shuttle. With a thought, he guided it forward. Shua! The shuttle tore through the currents like a streak of silver light, slicing through the sea with ease. In mere seconds, it surged upward, breaking through the surface of the ocean before shooting straight into the vast sky. Ling Han's lips curled slightly. As expected. Satisfied, he released Shui Yanyu from within the Black Tower and recounted everything that had transpired. The mysterious sword technique, the jade slip, and the name of the ancient master behind it. "Invincible sword saint?" Shui Yanyu repeated, her brows knitting together in confusion. Clearly, the name meant nothing to her. Ling Han wasn't surprised. On the Joint Peace Planet, the strongest cultivators of the present era had only reached the heavenly body tier. Perhaps, in ancient times, there had existed flourishing ages where Genesis tier elites roamed freely, but such glory had long since faded. Time eroded all things. Even beings at the Genesis tier could not escape its relentless passage. Ling Han exhaled softly. "It's a pity. You probably won't be able to learn this sword technique." He was never one to hoard opportunities. If something could benefit his companions, he would gladly share it. Yet Shui Yanyu immediately raised her chin, her expression proud. "Who said I can't learn it?" Ling Han chuckled at her stubborn confidence. Without further delay, he steered the cloud-piercing shuttle toward a small, isolated island. There, beneath the open sky and surrounded by the endless sea, they set up camp. His goal was clear: to first master the fast technique. Together, they studied the technique. Yet Shu Yanyu soon found herself completely lost. The principles of the sword art were beyond her comprehension. as if they existed on an entirely different plane. Even Ling Han himself struggled. However, within his Dantian, the demonic power source stirred. That mysterious sphere released faint yet profound power, guiding him, assisting him, unraveling the barriers that obstructed his understanding. This was the regulation of heaven and earth, at the level of the Genesis tier. By all logic, Ling Han should have been incapable of grasping such a technique, yet fate had aligned in his favor. The jade box had landed precisely where the Demon Master rested. The Black Tower had suppressed the Demon Master's essence, and Ling Han himself cultivated the indestructible Heaven's Scroll, allowing him to endure what others could not. All these factors intertwined. Thus, what should have been impossible became possible. Still, his progress was agonizingly slow. When Ling Han wielded his sword, his entire body twisted into unnatural positions. His hands, feet, waist, every movement defied instinct. Strength was difficult to gather, and each strike felt awkward, distorted. Strange did not even begin to describe it. Yet he persisted. Bit by bit, he corrected his form. Bit by bit, he adapted. And with each passing day, his sword grew faster, but speed came at a price. The burden on his body increased relentlessly. Each strike caused his godly bones to creak and groan, as if on the verge of collapse. If Shui Yanyu had attempted the same, her entire skeleton would have shattered instantly. So fast, she whispered in astonishment. At first, she had been able to follow the movement of Ling Han's sword with her eyes. But now, she saw nothing. His hand moved, and in that same instant, the sword had already reached its target. Such speed defied reason. No wonder he was called the Invincible Sword Saint, she murmured. This technique goes against the very nature of the world. Ling Han, too, felt a growing sense of awe. This is only one form of the four-form sword technique, he said slowly. What about the slow technique, the chaotic technique, the calm technique? The mere thought of it stirred both curiosity and anticipation within them. Time flowed like a silent river. After an entire month of relentless practice, Ling Han finally achieved a small accomplishment in the fast technique. At the same time, under the nourishment of the demonic power source, his cultivation advanced, reaching the middle stage of the medium extreme. Even his alchemy did not fall behind. Using fragments of spare time, he refined pills repeatedly until, at last, he successfully produced the heavenly pearl pill. Standing upon the island, Ling Han smiled faintly. Let's go kill some more pirates. His tone carried a hint of excitement. Now that he had grasped the sword technique, it was time to temper it in real battle. They boarded the cloud-piercing shuttle once more. Fearless even in the face of Sun Moon tier elites, with the shuttle's speed, escape was always within reach. Meanwhile, the Star Sea had undergone profound change. The disappearance of the extreme gravity field had not harmed the Yang clan's business. In fact, it had caused it to flourish even further. More and more cultivators ventured into the sea in search of treasure. Previously, only those at the Mountain River tier could dive into such depths. Now, even Shattering Void tier and Heaven tier cultivators could descend 3,000 meters without fear. Of course, danger still lurked. The demonic beasts of the sea remained as deadly as ever. Anyone who died in their jaws could only blame their own misfortune. Without the interference of the Demon Master, the cloud-piercing shuttle operated at full capacity. Even circling the entire sea would take no more than a single day. Ling Han recalled the routes he had learned from Yang Ticheng during their time adrift. Now he followed those exact paths. Suddenly, his eyes sharpened. There! He guided the shuttle downward, approaching a massive ship locked in fierce battle. It was a vessel of the Yang clan. On its deck stood a Sun Moon tier elite, locked in combat with an equally powerful pirate. In the past, such a battle upon the sea would have been impossible. But now, without the oppressive gravity, Sun Moon tier elites could stride across the ocean as if it were solid ground, and if they advanced further, they could even soar through the skies. Ling Han stored the shuttle. Without hesitation, he and Shui Yanyu descended into the battlefield. Chaos erupted all around them. Blades clashed, waves roared, and blood painted the surface of the sea. Though their arrival attracted brief attention, no one paid them further heed. Their cultivation levels were too low, mere ants that could be crushed by either side. Yet those who underestimated them would soon regret it. Die, brat! A pirate charged toward Ling Han. his saber gleaming with killing intent. He was an elite at the peak stage of the medium extreme. Confidence radiated from him. In his eyes, Ling Han was nothing more than prey, someone who could be easily slaughtered. Ling Han merely smiled faintly. Then, he moved. The fast technique activated. Pa! The pirate's saber descended. But in that same instant, something unimaginable occurred. His arm had already been severed. Before he could even comprehend what had happened, his vision shifted, and he saw his own body, splitting apart, piece by piece. In less than a fraction of a second, he had been completely dismembered. Only then did realization dawn upon him. How am I seeing myself like this? A chilling thought surfaced. Have I already been decapitated? When did it happen? I didn't even see him move. These questions flickered through his fading consciousness. And then, darkness swallowed everything. His life ended before he could ever understand the speed that had taken it away. Translator. Henyi Translations. Editor. Henyi Translations. Amidst the raging chaos of clashing blades and roaring tides, such a brief exchange passed like a ripple upon a stormy sea, too minor to draw the eyes of the many. After all, the battlefield was a tempest of blood and fury, and those who fought at the lower ranks were but drifting leaves within it. Yet Ling Han was inwardly satisfied. Had he wished, a single stroke would have sufficed to claim his opponent's life, but in that fleeting instant, he sensed that the flow of time itself was too slow to satisfy the edge of his blade. Thus, he allowed his sword to dance further, one cut to the left, another to the right, weaving an unseen storm. To the naked eye, it was but a single motion. In truth, 11 strikes had already been unleashed. I can still be faster, he murmured within the depths of his mind, his spirit sharpening like tempered steel. Before the echoes of his thought could fade, another pirate lunged forward, killing intent blazing in his eyes. Detestable brat! Die! This newcomer was no ordinary foe. An early-stage high-extreme elite, his aura surging like a rising tide. Ling Han did not retreat. His sword moved. Pooh! A crimson arc bloomed through the air like a shattered sunset, and in the next breath, the pirate was no longer whole, reduced instantly to scattered flesh and broken form. What? Only then did the surrounding pirates awaken from their indifference. 2 comrades had fallen in an instant, slaughtered before they could even resist. Eyes turned. Killing intent surged. 5 figures leaped forward at once. Among them stood 1 at the late stage of the high extreme, 2 at the early stage, and 2 more at the peak of the medium extreme. Their combined presence pressed down like a gathering storm. There are 5 of them, and 1 at the late stage of the high extreme, Ling Han muttered, his gaze steady as a drawn blade. By all logic, his strength only matched that same late stage. Even facing 1 such opponent would require effort. Yet now, 5 stood before him. 4 more lives. 4 more threats. Before the fast technique was taken into account, this was already a perilous situation. The pirates sneered, their voices dripping with contempt. Brat, where did you crawl out from? You dare meddle in our affairs? Heh? And look at the woman beside him. Quite a beauty. Quite a beauty. Her charm is downright bewitching. Kill the brat. Capture the woman. We'll have ourselves some entertainment. Agreed. With wicked laughter, the 5 surged forward together, their killing intent forming a suffocating net. Ling Han's lips curved slightly. 5, is it? A little more troublesome, but interesting. His sword rose. Then, shua! Shua! Sword light erupted like lightning tearing across the heavens, too swift for mortal sight to follow. And just as suddenly, the blade returned to its sheath. It was as if he had never moved at all. Pa! 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 4 bodies collapsed in unison, their lives severed before they could even comprehend death. Only 1 remained standing, the late-stage high-extreme pirate. Yet even he was not unscathed. A deep, chilling gash stretched across his neck, so close to severing his head that death had brushed against him like a whisper. A freezing terror gripped his heart. He had seen nothing. No sword light, no movement, only instinct, pure, desperate instinct, had driven him to raise his origin power and hand to shield his neck when danger approached. That single reaction had saved his life. Yet 4 of his fingers had already been sliced clean away. This is monstrous! What kind of sword technique is this? It kills without sound, without trace. They were all cultivators at equal or greater levels than Ling Han. He himself stood a full minor level above him. And yet, 4 had fallen instantly. and he barely had escaped, mutilated and nearly beheaded. Is he a five-star genius? No, even that cannot explain this. Even a five-star genius should only match me. How could he nearly kill me in a single exchange? Not far away, Ling Han's hand trembled faintly. His breathing grew uneven. Within his body, origin power surged chaotically, as though resisting the very heavens. The fast technique defied the natural order. It broke the regulations, forcing forth a speed beyond one's realm. And in return, the heavens pressed back. The backlash was immense. Almost, Ling Han murmured softly. 5 strikes had been unleashed. His intention had been absolute annihilation. Yet one had survived. His breath steadied, his will sharpened. Once more, the fast technique ignited. He vanished. The surviving pirate's heart collapsed into despair. He could not see. He could not predict. He could only defend. Origin power surged wildly, covering every fatal point, neck, chest, heart, dantian, forming a desperate shield. But this was futile. To defend everything was to defend nothing. Ling Han's blade, however, focused upon a single point. Peng peng! The sword struck with terrifying speed. The pirate's origin power shield shattered after merely 2 blows. And before it could reform, Ling Han's blade had already arrived again. Too fast, too relentless, too absolute. 3 breaths. That was all the pirate endured. Blood erupted skyward. His gaze dropped in disbelief to his chest, his heart pierced. His dantian shattered. Peng! He collapsed, his life extinguished like a dying flame. Ling Han stood there, chest heaving, breath heavy as thunder. The fast technique exacted its price. Origin power drained, stamina consumed. The body itself strained beneath the weight of defying heaven. Detestable brat! A thunderous roar split the air. Another pirate descended, aura crushing like a falling mountain. This one stood at the consummate level of the mountain river tier. His appearance was grotesque. Disheveled hair, bloated face, flesh hanging like a butcher's excess. In his hands, a massive cleaver gleamed, stained with the aura of slaughter. He looked less like an immortal, and more like a swine butcher from hell. Divine patterns ignited upon the cleaver, blazing with dazzling brilliance as he swung it with both hands. The light was so intense, its trajectory could not even be traced. Consummate level, Ling Han's eyes burned with anticipation. This was worthy. He drew a deep breath. The fast technique erupted once more. A storm of sword strikes descended. In terms of speed, this technique stood supreme. At the very least, no mountain river tier consummate cultivator could surpass him. Thus, the butcher-like pirate was forced into defense. He raised his cleaver, shielding half his body. At the same time, a faint golden glow enveloped him, his defensive power surging to its peak. Yet he did not remain passive. Ha! His left fist clenched, smashing forward with brutal force. Peng! The two collided. A shallow gash appeared upon the pirate's neck. Meanwhile, Ling Han's shoulder caved inward under the force of the blow. In truth, Ling Han had suffered the greater injury. Yet, those who witnessed the exchange were stunned into silence. Ling Han stood at the middle stage of the medium extreme. His opponent, at the consummate level, 8 sub-minor levels apart. And still, he had fought nearly 8 stars above his level. 8 stars. Who could believe such a thing? Who would dare believe it? The pirate's expression twisted between shock and fury as he touched the blood at his neck. Though he appeared to hold the advantage, he knew the truth. Had that strike been just a fraction stronger, he would be dead. Cold sweat drenched his body. He had stepped into death's embrace and barely returned. "I cannot let you live!" He roared. The cleaver blazed once more as he lunged forward, intent on killing Ling Han before he could recover. But his eyes widened in horror. Ling Han's shoulder was healing. At an astonishing, almost unnatural rate. Pooh! His attack faltered mid-motion. His mind trembled. Such a physique, such regeneration. What is this monster? Ling Han chuckled softly, as though inviting death itself. Come again. Fear flickered across the pirate's face. Though stronger, though higher in cultivation, his heart had already lost. Confidence shattered. Victory. Uncertain. At that moment, a new presence descended. A middle-aged pirate appeared, his figure lean and skeletal. Behind him, the image of a blazing red sun manifested, radiating boundless power. He snorted coldly. What an arrogant brat. Sun Moon Tear.